The other thing I need to talk about for game 2 is the broadcast on
Oh
MLB
yes. Oh
Network,
Jesus. I
which
mean, how did I
leads
almost forgot that?
yeah, leads us into an early we usually have these at the end of the show, but I'm dropping in asshole of the week. Uh, yeah, the MLB Network decided it would be a good idea to throw in 3 old white guys into the booth whose ages combined to 216 years old. Bob Costas, Buck Showalter, and Jim Kaat. And amazingly enough, 3 old white guys got a little racist by the end of the show. Actually, it's
uh,
all on Jim Kaat. I'm not
yeah.
gonna throw in the other guys into this, but Jim Kaat made a very thinly veiled, ridiculously racist slavery comment in referring to Johann Mancada, and he said he was trying to compliment him. Very strange way to do it. I won't even say what he said, but it was definitely it was definitely about slavery. It's just something that should never be said. A ridiculous statement to be made anywhere, let alone in public, on the air during a baseball game. Unreal that this shit still happens. But the man's 82 years old, 25-year veteran of the major leagues, former White Sox at one time, I believe. He did say he was trying to pay him a compliment, and it was poorly worded, to say the
To
least.
say the least, yeah.
But his apology was actually pretty solid. He didn't give the lame, if I offended anyone, then I apologize. He didn't say that. He said my my poorly worded comments were harmful or hurtful and insensitive and incorrect, and I apologize for that. He wasn't like mincing words at that point, fortunately. So that's the only thing I'll give him credit for. But that broadcast was so bad. I mean,
It was. It
that was
was.
definitely the worst part of it by far. But Bob Costas is one of my favorite announcers of all time, and he's actually struggling now. He's 69 years old. I hadn't noticed this before. I haven't seen a ton of MLB Network broadcasts this year, and so I hadn't noticed it. But he was struggling with just giving details of the game. At one point, he said, closing out an inning going to break, he was saying Houston had scored to take the lead when they had actually tied it, or the opposite way, or whatever. It was just, and like, that's not right. And one time he called Eloy Jimenez Elroy, which was classic.
Yeah, a couple times he said Elroy
Was it a couple times?
in that little segment there. Yeah.
I caught that and then immediately checked out social media, and Elroy was, I don't know if it was trending, but I saw it a lot on my timeline, which I found hilarious. I didn't have any trouble with Buck Showalter, which I thought of anybody I
Buck,
would probably have the most trouble. But
that's what I thought
he
too.
was
He was
fine.
actually the most solid dude in there. And he has
Yeah.
this weird, he kind of sounds like just a slightly older Kevin Costner. And when the
Mm.
broadcast started, I didn't hear who the announcers were. Like by the time I
Yeah.
had kind of turned it on, and I was like, is Kevin Costner broadcasting this? Is this like a Field of Dreams leftover thing or something? And I'm like, oh, it's good old Buck. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So that for a painful game for you made even more painful by a bad broadcasting crew. Like,
Which,
come on, MLB Network, just throw in at least a little bit of youth
yeah.
in there. I mean, when Buck Showalter is your
Is
young
your shining
whippersnapper at
star,
65
shining
years old.
star
Yeah.
of the group. I will say I'm going to stick with my theory I shared with you, Smitty, in that the broadcast crew was an ode to the managerial matchup.
Ah,
This
yes.
is the oldest managerial matchup, so they said,
149 years.
let's get the oldest TV crew we can in their broadcast team in there to
Get
pay
the olds in
homage.
here.
Yeah.